Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session for March 28th, 2023. As a reminder, this is a public meeting, so if you wouldn't mind muting your line if you're calling in by phone. So we will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So thanks for being with us today. As you know, March is Women's History Month, and we've been pleased to have speakers each week in general session to talk about Women's History Month in Franklin County. Today we are proud to have with us Susan Reed. Ms. Reed lives here in Central Ohio and had a front row seat to a monumental accomplishment in aviation history. That's because her sister was Jerry Mock, a Columbus resident who was the first woman to fly solo around the world in 1964. If you've been to Port Columbus International, John Glenn International, you've seen and read about Jerry Mock, and if you know anything about Columbus history, you know about Jerry Mock. So, Ms. Reed, thanks for being with us today, and if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to hear from you today.
Good morning. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today to tell you a little bit about my sister. And for those who did not know, back in 1964, she followed her dream and became the first woman to make a solo flight around the world. Now, a lot of people think that Amelia Earhart was the one who did that, but Amelia got lost back in 1937. I was at a party at Jerry's house not long after she returned, and I had the same question that I've heard so many times. Why was Jerry successful over Amelia? Because Amelia had a man with her to navigate. He also was a pilot. Jerry said, well, I was smart enough not to take a man along to navigate. So she was successful. She did her flight in 1964, and she wrote a book about her flight. She wrote it herself. I know. I helped edit the book. On this day in 1964, she was in Santa Maria flying to Casablanca. Jerry set lots of aviation records, and in the last one that she received, I'm wearing the medal that was given to me in her honor. She was inducted, this past September, she was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame in Dayton at the Air Force Museum. And oh, what a thrill that was. I'm always so honored to be able to speak about my sister and her accomplishments. She had a dream. When she was 7 years old, she took a ride in a Ford tri-motor airplane. When the plane landed, she said to my parents, I wasn't born yet, that when I grow up, I'm going to be a pilot. I'm going to fly around the world. I guess my dad said, well, that's nice, dear. And then in school, when she studied about these other countries, she told her classmates, I'm going to be a pilot. I want to see the pyramids. I'm going to ride a camel. I'm going to fly around the world. And they just sort of laughed. But some of them were at the airport back in 1964 when she returned from her flight, and with a big sign that said, welcome home, Jerry, class of 1943. She won many, many awards. This picture was taken of her. This picture was used when she was inducted into the First Flight Society at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Wright Brothers Memorial. My mother was a Wright, so we sort of carried that on. She named her plane the Spirit of Columbus, and the picture even shows the little plane. And I wear a badge that says Spirit of Columbus. The Columbus Foundation honors her each year. Now, Jerry, we all grew up in Newark, Ohio, but Jerry lived most of her adult life in Columbus, and she made her flight living in Bexley, named her plane the Spirit of Columbus. And then the Columbus Foundation now uses that as their theme, and they honor her each year. April 17th marks the landing of her flight. And so on that day, watch the news, you will see somebody being honored with the Spirit of Ohio Award named for her. And the picture of the statue, the winner will receive a little maquette of that statue. They exhibit that same spirit. It's just wonderful that she receives all these accolades, so many of them so late. People forgot about her because the Vietnam War was on and Kennedy had just been assassinated. But we're doing more. Her airplane is at the Smithsonian, and there's a new display that just opened up, and her plane is to recognize planes of that type. And of course, that is in Washington, and I hope to see the new display soon, because the plane used to be high up in the air and you could hardly see it, so now it's down. And she set so many aviation records, not only in that plane, but in another one after that. She had this dream, and she tried to encourage everybody. If you don't have a dream, how are you going to do it? And she has inspired many, many people. I do talks about her. One lady was 83 years old and said, "Your sister inspired me. I just started taking flying lessons." So no matter what the age, get a chance, read the book. There are YouTubes out there all over that you can find out more about my sister and her accomplishments. She was a little bit shorter than me, but I always looked up to her. And it was just a thrill to be with her, to ride with her in that plane that went around the world before we put in all the fuel tanks. She had a lot of wonderful, exciting experiences, especially like when she went to Saudi Arabia. Well, they would talk to her and look at the plane. Talk to her, look. She finally realized they were waiting for the pilot. They thought she had a pilot hidden behind all the fuel tanks. Finally, somebody went over and looked and said, no, there was no pilot. She was the one who did it. She flew into Egypt and ended up at a military base that was secret and not on the charts. Just such fun activities that every place she went, there was something different to celebrate, and lots of fun. Again, this was a dream that she had, and she always encouraged others to have a dream also. If you have any questions. She was gone 29 days, had 19 stops.
Wow.
Anything?
Yeah, I'm curious. Thank you, President OGrady. So did she carry food in the plane? And I presume it was an open cockpit plane.
Well, it was closed, and you could see from the picture of the book. She would take snacks. She took Girl Scout cookies, I know. But when she was, well, she was a Girl Scout. When she would be leaving some places, she would not be allowed to take any food with her. Like I say, she was gone 29 days, 19 stops, had weather delays. Her first stop was Bermuda, and the weather was so bad, even the commercial flights were grounded.
Yeah. Well, Ms. Reed, first of all, thank you so much for sharing the story. A story I was not aware of, and I like to pride myself on history, and especially Columbus history. So
Right.
I'm going to do some reading and maybe try to track down that book myself. I'd love to learn more about Miss Mock.
Well, I brought the book for you.
Oh, okay.
To enjoy.
That's great. That's great. Awesome, because I'm interested in it. But I do want to point out that it's that kind of history that makes Franklin County in Central Ohio rich and unique. And there are all kinds of gems in our history, like the story of Jerry Mock. you know, and we've got to do a better job of instilling that into our education system, into the general ecosystem of Central Ohio, so
Absolutely.
people know those stories, and more importantly, they're never forgotten. And the contributions that women have made to not just Central Ohio, but to our quality of life in general is something that makes this month fun, you know, to learn the stories of women that, for whatever reason, history has done with it, the information. It just isn't something that is as prevalent in our knowledge as it should be. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and I can't wait to read that book and learn more about it. And I'll be mentioning her in speeches at some point.
Good.
Because I think that's a pretty big deal.
And be sure and watch the news on April 17th and see who wins that Spirit Award.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much.
So we really appreciate you being here today. Being a frequent traveler, you know, I've obviously seen and read the stories of your sister at the airport over the years. But the personal story that I had about your sister was when we dedicated the John Glenn International Airport to Senator Glenn back. It's been, I guess, 6 or 7 years ago now.
Right.
They invited me out. I got to introduce Senator Glenn that day, and after the dedication, we had lunch, and I got to sit with Senator Glenn at lunch, and he told me the story. He told me the story of your sister.
Oh, really?
And
that's wonderful.
He talked that day. He talked about his history with Port Columbus, and,
Right.
growing up and coming to Columbus from New Concord and watching planes take off, and how he fell in love with aviation. But then over lunch, he told me the story about learning about when he learned about your sister, and when he learned about the story of what, you know, her flight and you know, how that, you know, even it was because her flights were right around the same time or just after the same time as his orbit.
Right.
And so he took a lot of pride in her flight, and but he had seen the statue of her at the airport that day, and so he was talking to me over lunch after the dedication that day about her. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. Here, this, you know, internationally known, famous astronaut and politician was talking about, you know, Jerry Mock, this, frankly, at the time, little-known person who was this aviation giant of Columbus. And so that was, I mean, I had read about her at Port Columbus.
Sure.
Seeing, you know, the different things that they have there, but didn't know much about her. But then him telling me about her over lunch was pretty cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that story with me. I mean, Ohio is the birthplace of aviation.
That's right.
The Wright brothers are our cousins. Way back, but we've lost the documentation, but we're sticking to the story. Right.
Well, and then you have Senator Glenn and Neil Armstrong and all the others.
Of course.
It's just such a great tradition, and your family is a part of that. So,
Thank you.
Thank
you again for having me. I really appreciate this.
We appreciate you coming today and sharing with us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, all right. So we need an approval of the minutes of the March 16th, 2023 briefing session and the February 22nd,
So moved.
2023 administrative briefing. That's
I
okay.
apologize.
Second.
So,
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
All right, the Court of Comment, please.
Resolution number 232-23. Resolution authorizing the purchase of audiovisual equipment, installation services, and SaaS services for 30 courtrooms from SI Technologies LLC, doing business as New Era Technology, in the amount of $2,424,265.26.
Good morning. Susan Bedsel, Deputy Court Director. The court is replacing all of our audiovisual equipment in 30 of our courtrooms due to the current equipment's age, failure rate, really lack of technological functionality. In December 2021, this board approved the purchase of the equipment for this project, which was finally fully received at the end of 2022 due to supply chain delays. The current resolution is for the installation of this equipment and the related ongoing SaaS services. Equipment includes replacement of microphones, amplification, projectors, cameras, and the addition of gallery monitors. This project not only replaces our failing equipment, but the upgrade will really improve the experience of all of the court participants and the observers, and which we believe that, of course, always enhances everyone's access to justice. Pending any questions, we would request approval, please.
President O'Grady, may I ask a question?
Please.
Thank you. Does that include any wayfinding resources there? I know the county is looking at that in general, but I know oftentimes when I'm interacting with that building, people are trying to find where they're going and trying to navigate where they need to be. Is that included?
Not in this project, but we are part of the wayfinding project with the county is currently working in. We've already had multiple meetings that will enhance the wayfinding signs that we have in our building, because we do know that people struggle. This current project is for in the courtroom only. Sure. For the audiovisual inside there. But like you said, we do need to enhance our wayfinding within this building and how to get to this building.
Great. Well, as long as you are a part of that wayfind, I know that that's something that's being worked on with the county administrator and others in PFM. And so that I just want to make sure that was covered, because I feel like this complex is mostly visitors for the courts, and they're always lost over here, and so that would be helpful. That's all.
Absolutely.
Susan, this is individual audiovisual stuff per for each of the courtrooms. This doesn't have anything to do with the video arraignment stuff, does it?
No, I mean, of course, our video arraignment utilizes that technology. But we already currently have that in the 2 courtrooms that we use for video arraignments. It would actually allow us to conduct video arraignments in any of our courtrooms. So we already have that technology in those courtrooms where we do them currently. But it enhances the rest of our courtrooms to equal those 2 larger proceeding courtrooms that we had upgraded in 2020 when we transitioned to video arraignments.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's me. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 232-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 232-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Move on to the auditor.
Resolution number 233-23. Resolution authorizing a second amendment to the contract with Hoover Blanket Incorporated, doing business as Main Street Computing, for the provision of dog licensing software.
Good morning, Commissioners. A couple of items for you this morning. This first resolution is to authorize a second amendment to the contract with Hoover Blanket, Inc., doing business as Main Street Computing, or MSC. Excuse me. In May of 2020, on behalf of the Auditor's Office and following the opening of competitive sealed proposals, the Board of Commissioners entered into contract with MSC for the implementation of a new dog licensing software system. Subsequently, this past May, the Commissioners entered into an amended agreement with MSC based on the mutual desire of the parties to afford greater flexibility to end that agreement earlier than the original term. That amended agreement would terminate on March 31st. Since that time, MSC and the Auditor's Office now seek to return to the terms of the original contract. This proposed resolution would rescind the terms of the Second Amendment and return the parties to the full and complete terms of the original contract. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval of the proposed resolution. Thank you.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 233-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 233-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 234-23, resolution authorizing a contract with 3SG Plus LLC for the purpose of creating a custom export application for the Board of Revision in the amount of $101,592.
Thank you. Our second item this morning, this contract would be for the purpose of creating a custom document export application for the Board of Revision. In performing their duties, the Board of Revision staff produces thousands of paper documents. This export application would have the ability to convert and export multiple file types comprising BOR case files that are held in our on-base case management system and export those directly to the Document Imaging Center for conversion to microfiche, ultimately reducing the backlog of Board Revision documents to be converted and reducing the need for paper storage, as well as just ultimately streamlining the records retention process. The application would allow the BOR to take a step towards modernization and to reap the benefits of the technology that is currently available, all while also increasing the efficiency of the office and fulfilling one of Auditor Stinziano's goals of bringing the office into the 21st century. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval of this resolution as well. Thank you.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 234-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 234-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll move on to the coroner.
Resolution number 235-23, resolution authorizing an agreement with Paul Worth Associates Incorporated to provide public relations consulting in the amount of $25,000.
Move.
Good morning.
Oh.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? No.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Amanda Wright. I'm the Director of Operations for the Franklin County Coroner's Office, representing Dr. Overmeyer, the coroner. This is a resolution for an agreement with Paul Worth Services to provide public relation guidance during the term of this agreement, which with a not to exceed amount of $25,000 and will be for the term of effective of 6 months. Pending any questions, we would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Okay, move to table for, until 4/11/23.
I think we want to move to postpone.
Oh, is there a difference? Okay,
Yeah.
It's fairly the same.
there's a difference, okay, all right, move to postpone until 4/11/23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 235-23 has been postponed until April 11th, 2023. Resolution number 236-23, resolution authorizing an agreement with Columbus Public Health for mass prophylaxis dispensing private point of dispensing program.
All right, and our second resolution for today is that we would like to collaborate with Columbus Public Health regarding a mass prophylactic dispensing private point of dispensing, which is the POD program. The POD program is part of the city's Readiness Initiative program in the event of a catastrophic biological incident or other communicable or infectious disease, which basically provides us necessary medication under certain circumstances in order for us to perform our jobs in serving the residents of Franklin County. Pending any questions, we would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 236-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 236-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Amanda, love the new
Yeah.
hat. Dr. Overmeyer and his team must be having a great impact on you. The Valero's hat looks fantastic.
I found it and I changed it just for you to see if you would notice outside of my Yankees hat.
You know he was gonna notice. What are you talking about?
That's a great hat. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to the engineer.
Resolution number 237-23, Arcadis U.S. Incorporated Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer in performing a feasibility study for the Rings Road, County Road number 33 at Cosgray Road, County Road number 39, Improvement Project, Washington Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $97,700.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Zulis, Government Affairs Liaison for Franklin County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Commissioners, this first resolution seeks approval of a contract with Arcadis US Inc. For the performance of a feasibility study at Rings Road and Cosgray Road intersection. As you know, it's an offset intersection. and they will be investigating alternatives for safety improvements at that intersection. It's located in the northwest corner of Franklin County and Washington Township and is a collaborative project with the City of Dublin. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 237-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 237-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 238-23. The Kleinger's Group Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing detailed engineering design services for the Walnut Street, County Road number 19 at New Albany Condit Road, State Route 605 Improvement Project, Plain Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $385,260.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks approval of a contract with the Kleinger's Group to provide detailed design engineering services for the Walnut Street at New Albany Condit Road intersection. Located in northeast Franklin County, this is also a collaborative project, including ODOT, Plain Township, and the City of New Albany. And we are seeking to improve the safety at this offset stop-controlled intersection through the construction of a modern roundabout. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 238-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 238-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 239-23. Resolution authorizing a contract with Hall's Construction Materials Testing Incorporated to provide consulting services in the amount of $50,000.
Commissioners, our final resolution authorizes a contract, with Hall's Materials Testing to provide testing services for our annual resurfacing programs. Hall's is a certified woman-owned business and performs testing of asphalt at the plant and on the job site to ensure the product meets our specifications. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 239-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 239-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, to the prosecuting attorney.
Resolution number 240-23. Resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations and providing additional positions related to the acceptance of the Conviction Integrity Unit under Resolution number 5422.
Good morning, Commissioners. Janine Hummer on behalf of G. Gary Tyack, Prosecutor, First Assistant, and Chief Counsel of the Civil Division. Before you, you have a resolution that we'd ask for approval. This, if you recall, in January of 2022, the prosecutor's office came forward with regard to a grant that we had applied for and subsequently received. This board approved the grant, approved the acceptance of funds for this new unit, the Conviction Integrity Unit. During the time period of doing our due diligence of signing documents and providing the necessary forms, it was determined that there would be a need for additional personnel to fully staff this unit. We are asking two things. One is that you approve the supplemental appropriations, and also that appropriations would go to the increased funding for the director, which we determined needed a higher salary based on the expertise needed for this unit, and the need to hire 2 legal interns that will be used to actually research and dive into these cases that are approved for this unit. If there are no further questions regarding this resolution, we'd ask for your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 240-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 240-23 has been adopted.
All right. Thank you, Janine. To the sheriff now.
Resolution number 241-23. Resolution authorizing the acceptance of federal Homeland Security funds from the State Homeland Security Program Law Enforcement Grant and the continuation of a full-time position in the Sheriff's Rotary Fund in the amount of $140,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our resolution for you this morning authorizes the acceptance of federal Homeland Security funds through the state of Ohio to continue funding a Buckeye State Sheriff's Association intelligence officer. This deputy will be stationed at the Ohio Department of Public Safety's statewide terrorism analyst and crime center to be charged with keeping all 88 county sheriffs informed of important security information that may impact their region. The $140,000 will cover a 2-year period ending June 30th, 2025. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 241-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner OGrady?
Yes.
Resolution number 241-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, to the Office on Aging.
Resolution number 242-23. Resolution authorizing first contract modifications and extensions with 19 providers for cooperative residential services in the amount of $2,500,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. I'm Shonda Wingo, Director for the Franklin County Office on Aging. Joining me today is our Chief Financial Officer, Larice Cohens. We have 2 resolutions for consideration of your approval. The first, on March 1st, 2022, 19 contracts were awarded to providers for home repair, cleaning, moving, pest control services under Resolution 0150-22. The original contract for a period of 1 year with the option to extend for 2 additional 1-year periods. Of these 19 providers, 11 are small and emerging businesses. All providers are located in the Columbus, Ohio region. The Office on Aging is requesting the approval of these 19 contract modifications and extensions for the first contract extension, which would be in effect for April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024. This resolution supports goal number 5 of the Rise Together Blueprint. Pending any questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 242-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner OGrady?
Yes.
Resolution number 242-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 243-23. Resolution approving 2 contracts and 1 novation agreement for senior adult day services and senior home support services.
Thank you. 2 vendors, Pro-Choice Health Services, Inc. and NQTWO LLC, doing business as Visiting Angels of Central Ohio, originally submitted proposals for senior adult day services and senior home support services through the Franklin County Purchasing Department pursuant to a competitive bid process undertaken by the Franklin County Office on Aging, which were subject to vendor agreements. Subsequent to submitting the proposal, NQTWO LLC sold its business to Elevate Home Care LLC, necessitating the execution of a novation agreement. Resolution number 0131-23 included the approvals for Pro-Choice Health Care Services agreement and the agreement for the novation of NQTWO LLC, doing business as Visiting Angels. Both of those agreements and novations were not included in that resolution, therefore were not formally approved. The term of the contract will be for a period of 3 years, beginning February 1st, 2023 through January 31st of 2026. This resolution supports goal number 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint. Pending any questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
Okay, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 243-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner OGrady?
Yes.
Resolution number 243-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shonda.
Thank you.
Animal Care and Control.
Resolution number 244-23. Resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations and the addition of staff to support the operations of the animal shelter.
Good morning, Commissioners, the Administration. This is April Ricardo, Assistant Director for the Franklin County Dog Shelter. Today, this resolution, Franklin County Dog Shelter seeks your approval for the addition of staff here at Animal Control. This increased request is due to a higher volume of dogs being housed with increased lengths of stay, causing the need for more positions that care directly for the dogs. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 244-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 244-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, April. Child support enforcement.
Resolution number 245-23. Resolution authorizing a 4D contract with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office in the amount of $440,836.98.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Peltz, Assistant Director representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. This resolution requests your consideration in approving the Child Support Enforcement Agency's interagency agreement with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office beginning March 1st, 2023 through February 29th, 2024 in an amount not to exceed $440,836.98. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the prosecutor's office for expenses associated with reviewing, preparing, and prosecuting eligible 4D cases pursuant to Section 2919.21 of the Ohio Revised Code, or criminal non-support. This is a case management remedy of last resort. These are cases where all outreach efforts and administrative remedies have failed. Cases are reviewed and referred to the prosecutor's office with the cooperation of the custodial parent if the non-residential parent has failed to provide support for their child for a total accumulated period of 26 weeks out of 104 consecutive weeks, whether or not the 26 weeks were consecutive. The Franklin County Prosecutor's Office contract promotes the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 12, increasing the number of children in safe and stable homes and environments by ensuring that children have the resources needed to thrive. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 245-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 245-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Bill. All right, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Resolution number 246-23. Resolution recognizing the 2022 through 2023 Racial Equity Council members and implementation of 3 Racial Equity Council recommendations.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Leandra Tricoros, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Administrator. This resolution is to honor the members of the 2022 Racial Equity Council and to recognize them for their commitment and service in identifying areas in which the Board of Commissioner agencies lead initiatives, activities, programs, and services through diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Council served the term from April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023, and during that time focused on implementation of 3 Racial Equity Council recommendations, which are create Racial Equity Council subgroups within Board of Commissioner agencies, implement and maintain diversity, equity, and inclusion standards into Board of Commissioner agencies, and tell the story of the Racial Equity Council and how Franklin County is ingraining racial equity into operations and services. The Council worked to develop the framework for employee community groups, created action steps to promote equity in hiring and recruiting, and assisted in the planning for Lunch and Learn webinars utilizing the inclusivity calendar developed by Raising the Bar Performance Group. Additionally, the Council proactively identified action steps that will lead to implementation of other Racial Equity Council recommendations, such as engaging a DEI trauma specialist, infusing recruitment and retention efforts with DEI best practices, and reviewing and revising trainings to create safe spaces and generate buy-in and support. When surveyed about their experience serving on council, members provided positive feedback and highlighted their appreciation for feeling included and having a safe space to share ideas and create change. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion would like to thank the Commissioners and County Administration, Kenneth Wilson, and Deputy County Administrators Joy Bivens, Chris Long, and Eric Janis for their continuous support. We would also like to thank our community partners, such as Ms. Nana Watson, President of NAACP. We look forward to continued engagement with our Racial Equity Council alumni and would like to thank the following members for their dedication to becoming DEI champions. It is Benjamin Nolan from Human Resources, Token Carter for Justice Policy and Programs, Deja Owens, Child Support Enforcement Agency, Katie Harder, Franklin County Sanitary Engineering, Alvin Powell, Office on Aging, Larice Cohen's, Office on Aging, Talisha Williams, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Sierra Ferris, Economic Development and Planning, Shanika Flynn, Department of Job and Family Services, Tracy Parks, Department of Job and Family Services, Tamika Bumper, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Ariane Owens, Department of Job and Family Services. Michael London, Department of Job and Family Services. Brittany Razik, Board of Commissioners. Ross Goldsmith, Office of Public Affairs. Holly Deviney, Animal Care and Control. And Devin Mann, Animal Care and Control. At this time, we would like to please take a moment to pause so that those in person joining us today may receive their Racial Equity Council certificate and their DEI pins. Please have a photo opportunity.
Don't be shy.
Come on.
So are we doing photo now? Or?
Yes.
If we could, please.
Okay.
Yes. Right in the middle.
Get on that side. Thank you so much. We respectfully request approval of this resolution and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. President?
Please.
Yeah, I just want to say, again, thank you for your service and thank you for your work. Definitely going beyond the call of duty with your everyday role. But I want you to know that you're making a difference in the bigger picture of the legacy of Franklin County. And it takes a long time and a lot of resources to unwind what unfortunately is a systemic issue that we're trying to address and erase. And I really, in my time as a county commissioner, I know Commissioner OGrady has been very much a champion and passionate about this work, as was Commissioner Brown before Commissioner Crawley got here. And what I love most about this acknowledgement is the progress we're making. You know, you think about just a few years ago, this, we didn't have the progress that we have today. And I'm just really grateful to know that at every layer of Franklin County, people are engaged in our progress and in our work. And I'm telling you now, it makes a difference. You'll look back, several years from now and know that what you represented and moreover what you're doing makes and made a difference. And so thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So we appreciate all that you guys are doing, both with the leadership that you guys are showing in the department, but also the leadership that you guys are showing in each of the agencies. This work's important. It's always been important. It's more important these days when we have folks down the street at the State House that are trying to stop what it is that we're trying to do and that you're trying to do. And in State Houses all over the country. And so, this is the kind of stuff that we believe in, that you believe in, and that we think is important work, and that it not just important work, but it's the kind of leadership that we just think our residents deserve, our employees deserve, and it's the kind of stuff that it's just the right thing to do. At the end of the day, it's just important, and we appreciate it. We appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
President OGrady.
Please.
Thank you, President OGrady, Commissioner Boyce. I would just like to commend the Racial Equity Council, both past and present. Told you guys a couple weeks ago, you all are part of alumni now. Those that were here in the past and paying forward to contribute to the new cohorts. Looking forward to seeing additional cohorts. We had an excellent idea came out of our conversations recently to add a community service component to being a part of the Racial Equity Council. That's extremely important as well. And we will continue as county administration to listen to what you all have to contribute because you all are willing to step out, be out in front, be racial equity champions. And as the commissioners have stated, this work is more important than ever because there's efforts to suppress talking about racial equity and talking about the things that are just right in our society. So I want to just compliment you all, and I also want to give a continuing shout out to the Office of Racial Equity and Inclusion, a dedicated team of all women in the name of when, as Women History Month comes to a conclusion. Team led by dedicated, fantastic, educated, and all of the things you all do each day. And you all are providing that spark that we need to continue on our mission, which is a relatively new organized journey, but we are on a quest to place this into the fabric of our DNA and to be part of all of our legacy here with Team Franklin County. So thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to speak, President OGrady.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Or if there are no further comments or, were you, Ms. Withers,
No,
were
I
you
just
trying to
wanted
make a
to
comment?
continue my gratitude. D'Amica Withers, Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I just want to extend my gratitude to the Racial Equity Council, being part of the first Racial Equity Council and seeing this work come into fruition. Like you pointed out, Commissioner Boyce has been definitely a blessing and hard work. You know, we talk about how the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And it is definitely a blessing to be part of the laborers doing the hard work in the field. So I appreciate your commitment, continued commitment to racial equity, and we look forward to continuing our Racial Equity Council classes moving forward.
All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 246-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 246-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Now to Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number Resolution number 247-23. Resolution authorizing an economic development grant agreement with Rev 1 Ventures for support of the Entrepreneurial Services Provider Program in the amount of $300,000.
Good morning, Commissioners, Administration members, Director Jim Schimmer. I have the pleasure to bring to you this morning a resolution to seek your approval to authorize the 2003 annual partner contract with Rev 1 in the amount of $300,000 to support their work in the State of Ohio Entrepreneurial Signature Program, known as the ESP program. Commissioners, this agreement continues the effort that the Franklin County Commissioners has had in place for a number of years in the area of technology and actual wealth creation through the development of startup companies. This funding allows Rev 1 to access Ohio Third Frontier grant dollars on a 1-to-1 ratio. Additionally, Rev 1 provides coaching, mentoring services to technology startups and helps them identify new markets, sell products, attract investment, and create jobs. In 2022, Rev 1 added 28 new Franklin County companies to their startup studio portfolio program and invested more than $5.8 million in 12 companies. They have been diligent in tracking their diversity across their portfolio, with 52% of the companies they have invested in are either woman-owned or minorities as the founder or inventor of those businesses. To talk about Rev 1's commitment to DEI this morning, I've asked Christy Campbell, who is the COO of Rev 1, to just say a few words about their efforts.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. On behalf of the entire Rev 1 team and all of our more than 120 clients in Franklin County, I just want to thank you for your continued support for our mission. This advisory and funding support that we provide to high growth potential companies is critical and not found elsewhere in our community. I did want to speak just briefly on the work that we've been able to do and build with continued support from the community to really provide a much more diverse pipeline of entrepreneurial talent into becoming high growth potential companies. While we know that companies with diverse leadership are more successful, diverse and underserved businesses face many challenges, and that includes lack of networks, lack of access to culturally competent mentors, and ultimately lack of access to funding. And that usually starts with early friends and family funding. I just want to highlight briefly just a couple of focus areas and the progress in those to help mitigate some of these challenges. Last year, in partnership with Aventi Enterprises, hopefully you all know Deanna and her team well, we were able to launch 2 community accelerator programs. One was a 9-week business planning accelerator, and the second was a 6-week technology exploration accelerator, but all very focused on enabling would-be entrepreneurs to explore business models, explore how technology could foster the growth of their business, and ultimately explore high-growth business pathways. So about 57 innovators have been supported by that, and mostly Black women. So continuing to help foster those potential companies. Our innovation internship program, particularly proud of this. It has placed more than 400 interns into startup companies where we subsidize those salaries. 200 placements last year into 35 companies, and 68% of those interns were either women or minorities. So really starting to watch the number of those who become full-time employees. So 16 of them have gone on to actually join companies full-time. Our new Grow to Scale Mentor program, you may recall this was a program that we launched last year with some additional funding from the US EDA. That's been really important because it's helped us to actually source and pay culturally competent mentors that we can pair alongside primarily women and entrepreneurs of color. There are 12 companies in that first cohort, and we just did a satisfaction survey and really, really high regard for that program, that coming in at about a 4.5 out of 5. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, is our DE&I grant fund that we launched about 18 months ago. The county has also come in to support that. We really appreciate that. That program has now provided $500,000 in grants to diverse-led companies, and this is a really important pipeline for our pre-seed fund. So thanks for allowing me a few minutes to talk about this important work. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
There are no comments or questions. Move for adoption of 247-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 247-23 has been adopted.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Christy. All right, Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 248-23. Resolution authorizing a sub-grant award agreement with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for the provision of public safety and crime reduction initiatives under the FY 2022 Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $141,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Rochelle Pride, Director for the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. The resolution before the board today requests the approval of the following Justice Assistance Grant sub-grant award agreements. The first is the Franklin County Sheriff's Office HOPE Task Force Analyst in the amount of $90,000. Funding will be used to support the continuation of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office Heroin Overdose Prevention and Education Task Force. The task force joins efforts with 18 local law enforcement jurisdictions here in Franklin County to combat the heroin epidemic and other opioid-related overdoses with a multi-pronged approach. The next project is also from our Sheriff's Office for Internet Crimes Against Children in the amount of $21,000. Funding will continue to support the Sheriff's Office Assisting Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force which partners multiple local agencies in the effort to combat youth internet exploitation through the aggressive proactive investigation and monitoring. The last project is the Franklin County Sheriff's Office criminal warrants in the amount of $30,000. Funding will support the Sheriff's Office overtime dedicated to the apprehension of individuals with outstanding felony warrants. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 248-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 248-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 249-23, resolution authorizing a contract for service with North Central Mental Health Services for case management related to the Safer Stations program in the amount of $36,000.
Utilizing the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Grant Program, this resolution will support a contract with North Central Mental Health Services for the provision of a full-time licensed behavioral health case manager to coordinate the Safer Station program, screen and link to treatment, and provide wraparound services to community members seeking substance use treatment. North Central Mental Health has provided this service for OJPP programs, including the original Safe Station program in the city of Whitehall and the Pathways Achieving Recovery by Choice Women's Program since 2018. OJPP has been working with the county administration and the funder in the fall of 2022 to transition this contracted role to a full-time Franklin County employee funded by the COSAP allocation. This contract term covers the period when proper approvals were being sought, a posting was approved, interviews were completed, and a candidate was selected and able to start March 6 of 2023. This resolution supports goal number 2 of our Rise Together blueprint, and pending any questions, we would seek your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 249-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 249-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 250-23, resolution authorizing a contract for service with Christopher Menapace for the purpose of providing subject matter expertise and evidence-based practices on the first responder deflection models related to the Safer Station program in the amount of $10,450.
Utilizing the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Grant Program, this resolution will support our contract with Mr. Chris Menapace for the purpose of providing subject matter expertise and evidence-based practices on first responder deflection models related to the Safer Station program. As you may recall, Mr. Menapace, during his time as Assistant Fire Chief with the City of Whitehall, he was very integral in setting up the original Safe Station program with OJPP inside the Whitehall Division of Fire. The program garnered national attention for its successful adoption of the SAFE model, linking over 1,200 people to treatment in an 18-month period. Mr. Menapace has contracted with OJPP since his retirement from Whitehall in 2020 to lend his expertise with over 20 years in fire and EMS to evolve the Safe Station model into Safer Station, which strives to make this model more replicable, in communities across the nation. This contract also supports goal number 9 of our Rise Together blueprint of improving the health of those living with chronic mental, physical, and behavioral health conditions. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 251-23.
It's 250.
I'm sorry, 250-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 250-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 251-23, resolution authorizing a grant-funded contract for service with Jordan's Crossing to provide case management, linkages to care, and drop-in center services to individuals at high risk for overdose and death due to substance use in the amount of $125,670.
In October of 2022, the Board of Commissioners approved resolution number 0735-22, authorizing the support of this Year 3 supplemental extension grant with our Franklin County Public Health Center for Disease Control and the Overdose to Action grant to provide linkage to care services for Franklin County populations at high risk for overdose. Utilizing this grant funding, this resolution supports the contract with Jordan's Crossing. Jordan's Crossing is in the Hilltop area and primarily serves the homeless and those actively using substances. Jordan's Crossing can average more than 37 referrals to detox and substance use treatment programs to 300 individuals provided with material goods and address their current living situation and 1,000 units of Noxalone kits in 1 month. The services are provided through a network of 250 volunteers, and this contract will support the organization's operations through August 31st of 2023. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 251-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 251-23 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you, too.
Thanks, Rochelle. Purchasing.
Resolution number 252-23. Resolution approving contract modifications and extensions with 9 temporary staffing providers for the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $500,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry-Valinier, Director of Purchasing. And joining me for our second resolution is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This first resolution requests your approval of contract modifications and extensions with 9 temporary staffing providers who were each awarded a contract in 2019 under a competitive invitation to bid. These will serve as short-term extensions through May 31st of 2023, and they'll modify the contracts to expand temporary staffing requests to any county position, payable at either the county's starting pay rate or the provider's original bid rate, whichever is higher. This resolution also requests your approval of one novation agreement related to a name change for Premier Employee Solutions LLC, which is now operating under Swipe Jobs LLC, doing business as Premier Employee Solutions. Pending any questions, I respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 252-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 252-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 253-23. Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $15,784,088.12.
Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 78 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has prepared the supplier diversity data to share with you today. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. Thank you. Director Perry Ballinera is asking for approval for 9 purchase orders. Of these 9 purchase orders, 5% are going to small business enterprises, and another 5% is going to women's business enterprises. 1% is going to one of our minority business enterprise. Once approved, 6 agencies will have provided opportunities for equity and inclusion to small businesses. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 253-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 253-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Megan and Tamika. All right, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 254-23. Resolution authorizing a distribution from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund for the support of various government services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Chalerick with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution would authorize the distribution of $36 million from the county's revenue loss allocation of the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund authorized by the American Rescue Plan. The money would be distributed $15 million to the Adam H. Crisis Center to free up levy dollars for services as well as cover inflationary increases to the project, $12.5 million to the general fund to cover the upcoming capital project grant awards as well as other community partnership grants, $5 million to the Engineers Motor Vehicle and Gas Tax Fund to cover losses during the start of the pandemic and make resources available for matching any state and federal projects, $2.5 million to the Network Reliability Fund to support the upgrade of the county's Wi-Fi network, and $1 million to the Stormwater Fund to cover various ditch maintenance projects completed by the drainage engineer. In addition to the distribution of the revenue loss allocation, the resolution also provides $3 million from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund to reimburse the Employee Benefits Fund for costs related to the treatment of COVID-19. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 254-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 254-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 255-23. Resolution authorizing an amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding with the Franklin County Family and Children First Council.
Commissioners, this board had previously approved Resolution 568-22 to authorize the Memorandum of Understanding with Family and Children First Council. This amendment incorporates the amendment to the budget that was approved by the council at its January 18th meeting. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 255-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 255-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 256-23. Resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, the Columbus Zoological Park Association, and the City of Columbus.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Janine Hummer, First Assistant and Chief Counsel to the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office, Gary Tyack, Prosecutor. Before you is the three-way agreement noted as a memorandum of understanding between the Board of Commissioners, the Columbus Zoological Parks Association, and the City of Columbus. The highlights of this memorandum of understanding is the establishment of the new board, the 19-member board. Another highlight is the establishment of a levy committee. The levy committee is a very important component of this memorandum of understanding, since it will be that levy committee that will be recommending actions to the Board of Commissioners regarding the release of those funds. The Code of Regulations are referenced in this new memorandum of understanding and was attached to your documents as a reference. I'm going to turn this over to the county administrator, since he was very involved in the drafting of this new memorandum of understanding.
Thank you, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. Yes, worked very closely with the prosecutor's office and attorneys representing the zoo on this three-party agreement and the code regulations. Feel like this document will move the zoo forward. It affirms a lot of the things that you all asked for going into the negotiations to get an agreed-to document. At this point in time, I'd like to say that I fully support the revisions made in both this document, the three-party agreement, and the Code of Regulations. And I would like to thank First Assistant Attorney in the Prosecutor's Office, Janine Hummer, for all her assistance, and also Deputy County Administrator Chris Long worked on both documents in a significant way as well. So pending any questions, Commissioners would recommend passage of this three-party agreement. And this will be in effect until through 2037.
Work. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 256-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 256-23 has been adopted.
Thank goodness. All right. Are there any journalizations today, Clerk?
There are not.
Is there any media online or in person that would like to talk to any of the commissioners or administrators? Hearing none, I take it that the meeting is then adjourned.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, great day.